Welcome to AI and Automation in Action, where we show business leaders how to turn AI from a buzzword into measurable operational leverage. If you're serious about operational efficiency and responsible AI adoption, you're in the right place.
Hey there, Hunter, and welcome back to another edition of AI and Automation in Action, where we dive into real-world use cases of automation and AI technologies. So I'm excited, as always, to talk with you. You've got a pretty cool use case today in terms of an automation that has the potential to really transform a business in the way that they operate. And this is a business that has spent years developing their process, leveraging some legacy platforms that require a lot of manual copying and data entry. So I'm anxious to kind of hear the scenario. Walk me through what we built.
Absolutely. So to your point, this customer was using a legacy database platform locally. That database was storing all of their client data on site, but in order for their clients to be able to get to this data, their clients had a replicated database like this customer, but only to where they were able to access that specific their database. So it's been a very big challenge for our customer to keep this data in sync between their database effectively and their client's database. So what we were able to propose and provide as a solution to them is a cloud-based solution. It ties in with a cloud-based database as well. And it is a initial landing page effectively, and it's a web app. And when the user accesses the web page, they are signing in with their credentials. It doesn't matter how they're signing in effectively. It's just a single sign-in screen. And whenever they log in, their view will change based upon their permissions and how they were set up. So there's super admins, and clients effectively. And super admins will have this massive dashboard that has all of these neat other features that the admin and clients won't be able to see. But to that point, the super admins will be able to interact with the database within that application. So they can create new tables, rows, columns. They can create new reports if they want to create custom reports from that database and assign that to a unique bank or a client effectively. And to that point, they can then see all of the reports as well for their clients from within there.
So I'm going to step back just a little bit because I want to really dive into this. And we'll do this in a way that's kind of generic in terms to kind of make it a little simpler for folks to understand the entirety of what was happening. So let's say, for example, they were building an Excel spreadsheet that kept data. Our client had a copy that they stored on their servers for their team to work with. And in turn, they had clients that also had to interact with this same data. And to allow that, they had to give them a copy of the spreadsheet that they could just see their information on. And the challenge just in that one aspect is that you had a master spreadsheet that our client had to be able to use for all of their clients. And then their clients downstream had to have their own individual copy that only had theirs, and they had to stay in sync continuously. Am I understanding it correctly?
That is correct. And another big challenge that they were facing was, how are we going to get all of this data that exists now, since it's on premise and stored locally, into this cloud-based solution? And so for that super admin view, they have the ability to, it's called a data upload or an import manager. And they can go in from there and they can drag files and manually import them and select their company that it needs to be uploaded to. Or they could go on the back end and upload 50 of them at one time and then go to the importer section and just click import all, and it's going to run through and import them and allow them to get all of that data from on-premise into the cloud-based solution and automatically creates all of those tables and nests it how it needs to be for each company effectively.
So I would imagine this has been a massive workload for them previously, because keeping that data on premise for their operations, but then having to replicate it for each and every client and keep those up to date, there's a workload issue there that has to happen to copy and sync everything. But then there's also compliance and security items that you've got to make sure that you don't mistakenly give the wrong spreadsheet, if you will, to the wrong client, or the wrong permissions to view, or the wrong tables. So I can imagine that has been a huge headache. And if I understand correctly, what you've been able to do is take all of that historical information that has been operated, in this manner for years, and give them a easy front end to drag that information right into a cloud-based application that now, based upon granular login permissions, automatically gives them the view that they're supposed to have to their data, and it is a centralized database and it's not individual copies.
Absolutely. And this is a solution that we were able to implement that's SOC 2 compliant as well in terms of the database. Additionally, all of the super admins have the ability to control if the user that they're inviting needs to include multi-factor authentication. They'll have a full-on user page where they can reset passwords, MFA, but that we also have security in place. If there's super admins that are being created that have all of those functionalities and features, then MFA and some of those other security are a requirement effectively.
So not only did it make it easier for them to manage, it increased the security approach and footprint by putting it into a more modern platform. From an audit perspective, I'm sure this gives them tons of information in terms of who accessed what and when, and details how they got in, and the fact that it's SOC 2 compliant, and you can put all of those restrictions on it. In terms of a legacy application, that it's, I won't say it's impossible, but it's really hard to maintain control over that. So you've basically taken a convenience factor of now we don't have to maintain multiple databases, and a security factor that we need to provide really good controls and reporting and compliance towards these, and given that to them in a single platform. Now, in terms of functionality, what can we do from here?
So the next thing that we're looking to do, of course, is the custom report, working with this client to get them to where the custom reports are where they need them to be in terms of the headers, and allowing them to customize that further. A next step on top of that is going to be adding a flag for the import. So if they accidentally upload a document or it gets imported to the incorrect company, then there will be a banner at the top that's visible to the super admins that is clear to them that they need to go in and review those records or those documents.
How many years were they using this old type system to accomplish their business result?
I know they've been using it at least for 15 years. The other challenge I will say with the current database that they're using, it restricts the application. So it's an application that has 32-bit and 64-bit installation support, but they require the 32-bit to be used, which is not something that's standard typically. So a lot of the time, their clients are having to remove the current installation and then go back in and install that 32-bit, which is just causing more of a headache for them and their clients.
Wow. In terms of time savings, I can imagine that this has reduced their workload, or has the potential to. Have you put a number to how many hours this will save for them?
We haven't put an exact number to it yet, but in terms of the actual ROI, it's something that they are already seeing, because when they are getting this data in their hand and in their system, when they're making changes, their client can log in at any point and access that data instead of having to wait for them to send over that report like they've been having to do previously.
That's incredible. So really cool example of how, AI gets everyone excited because it's the latest and greatest, but in real world scenarios, a lot of times businesses are using legacy applications or things that they've used for decades. And it's not always about how do you make AI work for it. It's about how do you bring automation and leverage AI on top of that once it's there. And so this is something that we can continue to iterate on and build on. And it sounds like that's the plan for them at this point, is just to continue to enhance the functionality.
Exactly. The biggest challenge with where they were was that application was, again, it was legacy. It did not support that cloud API access that we talk about and we have talked about in those past recordings. And now that we have modernized this customer and they're on a tool now that supports cloud API access, it's limitless for them.
That's incredible. Really, really cool use of automation. I love hearing the stories of how we're transforming business operations. We're in the tech world. We love the tech, but at the end of the day, it's about what kind of business results can we deliver out of the technology. And this is a huge example of taking something that, I'm sure this is a process they had honed over years to get it perfect, but it was still very, very cumbersome. Now it's an automated process, modernized, allows them to extend functionality, drive efficiency, and increase security as well.
And speed up their customer onboarding. Now they're not having to go and install all of these tools and set up this database. They can just tell their customer, go to this link, we've sent you an invite, and here's the password.
It's incredible. It's incredible. Great job, Hunter. I always love hearing your creativity and what you're building. Looking forward to continuing to learn more from you.
Thank you, Shane. Looking forward to the next one.
Thanks for tuning in to AI and Automation in Action. If today's conversation sparked ideas about how AI or automation could improve your operations, we'd love to continue that discussion with you. Join us next time as we showcase another real-world implementation and break down how to deploy AI responsibly and effectively. And if you want to brainstorm with our team, email us anytime at ideas@innovativeautomations.ai. Until next time.